We're going to start with the introduction part. Yesterday we had a bit of discussion on the introduction of the subject, and we're going to start with what the definition is. I'm going to start with a very layman's definition. You will find this definition in the C.R. Kothari book as well. In fact, you'll find all of these definitions, and you shouldn't find any difficulty in noting it down from there. The only problem is that it does not have this description or the discussion about those definitions. So we're just going to discuss the definitions and nothing more than that, and we'll take up some questions from your side. So definition is, research is basically search for knowledge. Let me explain what knowledge is. There are basically three terms that you need to understand. The first term is data, second is information, the third is knowledge. So okay, data is simply numbers which actually may or may not have an indication of what they are collected for. Sometimes data has some something written along with it, like maybe it is data of stock market, it is data of maybe banking transactions. So there is some information regarding it that this is this what it is meant for. When we talk about information is which actually is slightly descriptive, or it also explains what the data stands for or what it is saying. For example, you have a table which has numbers, that would be data. But information would be, okay, I don't know what has happened. Hold on a second. Okay, excuse me. So something was there that opened up some kind of software or something that created a problem. Right, so information is slightly, it has a bit of explanation also along with it, that what the data is saying. So whenever we interpret data or we write about the data, that okay, let's say if I have a table or some kind of explanation, I will show you a slide next in your next lecture, where I will show you the difference of what information is like. Information actually explains the data. Like if you have a table and you have some kind of information regarding, let's say, stock markets. Last 2 days have been very bad for stock markets. The stock markets fell by around 1,200 points on Monday, and 350 points, the NSE, that is the National Stock Exchange, fell. So if you have a table or a graph which shows this downfall, many people will not be able to understand because they don't know what is a stock market. So if you write about that particular piece of table or that graph, and you tell people below in text that this is a stock market data and this shows that there is a drop in the stock prices and which stock prices are basically affected. So if you tell about that, that would be information. Now, what is knowledge? Knowledge is information
I think contact has lost. Anybody?
हाँ भाई, क्या हुआ? कहाँ चले गए सारे?
सर मॉर्निंग, हैप्पी रामनवमी।
हाँ भाई, हैप्पी रामनवमी टू ऑल ऑफ यू।
हैप्पी रामनवमी भाई।
आज छुट्टी नहीं थी क्या आज?
अरे सर, मैं तो बाहर बच्चे आ रखे हैं, अभी खिलाने जा रहा हूँ। एक बार लेक्चर खत्म कर लूं। बैठा रखे हैं बच्चे मैंने।
बच्चे कहाँ बुलाए तूने कोविड में बे?
अरे कोविड नहीं सर, लाइन से खड़े कर रखे हैं, हाथ में पकड़ा के प्रसाद भेज रहा हूँ, बस इतना ही करना और कुछ नहीं। दूर दूर सबको 7 बच्चे हैं, वो सर व्रत रखे हैं तो उतना तो करना ही है सर। उद्यापन
हमने तो भेज दिया भाई घर किसी के।
हमने तो कल कर दिया था।
अच्छा था जो
कल हमने क्या मतलब
सर
हमारे कल हो गया था।
हमारे यहाँ नौमी पूछती है सर, मेरे घर में नौमी पूछती है।
हमारा अष्टमी होता है।
ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं, जहाँ मर्जी पूछ दो, जो मर्जी पूछ दो यार।
सर यही तो हमारे वी जनरली लैक।
I don't know what happened. I think, I dropped out of the call because some setting of internet took place. So that's what happened actually. The internet reset here और वहाँ पे चला गया पूरा call. Right, let's get back to the lecture. Okay, so we were basically discussing this. So there are basically three terms that you need to understand when we talk about knowledge. So whenever you're doing research, you're actually adding, something new to what actually is there. Information would be available. Data is available. Either you are collecting some data which has already been published, which has been published for some other reason, or you're collecting your own data. You have to add something extra to it. And how do you add that extra to it? Through your experience. And where does that experience comes from? It comes from reading extensively. See, many people, many students, what they do is that when they conduct a research, they do not want to delve deep into the subject matter. वो depth में उस subject को study करने की कोशिश नहीं करते. वो क्या करते हैं? वो जल्दी से they do some kind of literature review and they straight away jump into collecting the data and making an analysis of it and submitting some kind of report. That is not how it is to be done. If you have picked up a topic, you must study that particular topic in all the related areas with it. Because every topic, especially in management, are interdisciplinary. What does it mean by interdisciplinary? There are a number of disciplines involved. For example, if you're doing a simple survey like customer survey, doing a survey of their I would request people to turn their mics off because this lecture is being recorded. And secondly, I would also request that you please come on time. Anjali, I would request you to be on time. Okay, so now we have, for example, so whenever where does that knowledge come from? Where does it, that experience comes from? What happens is that once you have studied in depth a particular topic, I was discussing about the topic. I had said that if you have a topic, let's say you want to know about customers' preferences. Now, what is preferences? Preferences regarding, let's say, simple thing like a soap, bathing soap, because there are different kinds of soaps. So we'll talk about bathing soaps. Everybody has a bathing soap in their bathroom. Somebody might have a Literal, somebody might have a Pierce, somebody might have, Dove. So how do you do, what is the addition of knowledge here? Let's suppose you want to know their preferences. In what terms will you know the preferences? You can know preferences in terms of the color of the bathing soap, the fragrance of the bathing soap, design, texture, feel good factor after you have taken the bath, then maybe the way it disintegrates. Some soaps, they disintegrate so fast that, they will quickly look like spongy and, like that. Foggy, some kind of a stuff, gila sa stuff ho jata hai, waisa ho jata hai uska look. And then there are certain soaps which are, which don't melt at all. It's like, you put them in water, you're scrubbing with them, but they just don't, they don't even give you any lather, they don't give you any bubbles and things like that. So that is the different kinds of issues which you can study in terms of their preferences, right? And what is your knowledge? Now you will do, if you are a person who has actually done your background work, you will study about consumer behavior. That's the first topic you need to study about in detail before you undertake the study. Secondly, you need to study about consumer psychology. You would have to study about methods of data collection. And of course, you need to know about statistics, because without that, you will not be able to do the analysis. You would need knowledge of developing a questionnaire and how to test it. You would need knowledge of subjects like maybe perhaps even there is something called as what we call as it comes a part of what we call as consumer development. There's a special kind of scale which is developed. It's called a Likert scale. So you might require a training on that, because people actually, even after studying how to develop a Likert scale, they're not able to develop it properly. They require some kind of guidance. You might also need someone who might have to guide you on this before you can actually proceed on this work, if you genuinely want to do the work. Otherwise, hocus pocus work तो सभी करते हैं, फिर वो hocus pocus work जो होता है वो it is not addition to knowledge. इसीलिए 99.9% student dissertations are complete waste of material, because उनको पढ़ के कोई भी कुछ ज्ञान हासिल नहीं कर सकता. It is simply बस डाटा लिया, कलेक्ट किया, उठा के उसको छाप दिया, उसके बारे में 2-4 लाइनें लिख दी, कहानी खत्म हो गई. It doesn't increase, it doesn't tell me anything. If I read a student dissertation, I don't come to learn something from it. So a research is searching for knowledge. So we say it must add to what is already existing. जो चीज obvious है, जो सामने दिख रही है, जो information सामने है, जिसको आप interpret कर रहे हैं, वो तो obvious है, वो तो दिख ही रहा है. उसके addition आप क्या उसमें add कर सकते हैं? That is what is research. So your work on research should always be addition to what is existing. You should be able to derive certain conclusions. You should be able to derive certain new areas of research. You should be able to suggest that इतना काम हो गया है, XY ABC हो गया है, अब EFD जो है वो ये होना चाहिए इस area में. You should be able to suggest that. That is knowledge for me, right? If a good research paper, I will show you what a good research paper is. Good research paper will give you what are the areas where research can be done from now here onwards. It's like when you've done your work on research, you say कि इतना मैंने किया है, अब इसमें ये areas है जो मुझे लगता है कि आगे और काम होना चाहिए. That is knowledge. That is knowing. What is knowledge? Knowing that, okay, this is what is extra that needs to be done, right? So all these things form part of research. So when you are actually submitting a work, maybe a project or something, your project should not only conclude what you have found, but it should also suggest what can be done now ahead of this. It should also suggest that, because if it does not do that, then it is not, you don't know anything. It means it's not a level of knowing then. It's just a matter of stating and just submitting something that it is obvious, something that everybody reads and understands. So the first, this is a layman's definition. This is, you can say, C.R. Kothari's definition also, because it does not have anybody's name. But I like this definition very much because it is very, very simple. It is not very complicated definition and everybody can remember it. Scientific, and what is research? Scientific, systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. Scientific, as we discussed yesterday, is rational based. Rational means there should be an explanation for everything that you're doing. Even the method that you're using, let's say you are doing a kind of study and you choose a method, you should be able to explain why you have used that method for that kind of study. Okay, so if you're unable to explain it, it means it's not scientific. It means you've just chosen something out of the blue because you fancied it. आपको fancy था, आपको लगा बड़ा fanciful method है, इसलिए आपने इसका use कर लिया. No, it has to be, you know, rational. You should be able to explain. इसलिए जब हम project बनाते हैं, अगर आपको मैं project करने को दूंगी, तो आप उसमें अगर कोई study कर रहे होते हो, and if you choose a particular you know, a method to do the work, then you have to write in the project report itself as to what was the method, why it was used, what are its drawbacks, what are its advantages, disadvantages, and its drawbacks. You have to write all of them, because the future later on, if somebody reads your project, they should come to know what methods you have used and why you used it, and that you are aware that that method had certain drawbacks. Because later on, whatever the method drawbacks, जब आपने कोई method चुना होता है, and whatever are its drawbacks, they will become a reason for future work, right? When you write about what should be the future work, there you will write, because you know what the drawback was of your method, then you know what data has not been collected. Okay, and if you know what the data has not been collected, then you know what will be the future course of action. So that is why Your methods should all be very rational based, because you have to write their advantages, disadvantages. And if you go carefully through the statistics that you have studied and through its books, then you will find for every one of them, whether it is correlation, regression, chi-square, whether it is probability, any of them, there are given a small, fine print. They are given advantages, disadvantages, drawbacks of every method. Also, they will tell you which method does what, कौन सा method क्या करता है और कौन सा method क्या नहीं करता है. A good book should be able to tell you this. So if you have not gone through a book and you don't know this, then it means that you have not studied from a proper book. You have not done in-depth study of the subject. All right, next we have is A should not be, no superstitious assumptions are there, fact-based hone chahiye methods, proof-based hone chahiye. That's why I gave you the example yesterday of that black cat. वो काली बिल्ली का कल example मैंने इसीलिए दिया था कि if you say that, if you're late to my class and you say that the black cat crossed your path and because it gives a bad time, that's why you didn't turn up, you didn't come, you got late in my class. So I'm going to ask you to prove it. I'm going to ask you to collect proof of it. And I also told you how. I told you, you will need an observation table. You must observe the cat. You must go after the cat, because you can't set up the cat. Okay. You can't make that will become artificial setting. I want this observation to be done under natural setting. So आप बिल्ली को ये नहीं बोलोगे कि तुम मेरे हिसाब से चलो. No, you are going to follow the cat. Okay. And wherever the cat goes, you're going to document the cat's behavior. And you'll document how many people's route it has crossed. और फिर जिन लोगों का route cross हुआ है, उन लोगों का you're going to take an interview and find out how their day has been. And if some part of their day has gone bad, and you should be able to come up with a result of 95% accuracy, by the way. Let me tell you this. That's one more condition. So if you do a survey of 100 people, out of that, 95 should say yes. Okay, because if you are giving me less accuracy, then I don't believe in your theory. That you need to go through before you can prove something is scientific. Information collected by methods which are scientific, time-tested, and reliable. Again, the same thing. I had talked about reliability and validity yesterday, and I said those methods need to be reliable. If you are taking up a tool for measurement, which is already published in some journal, in some book, no problem. You don't have to test its reliability and validity. But if you're creating your own, because you can create your own, I will teach you how to do it. I will teach you how to create your own tools. That there is a procedure for creating those tools. I will teach you that procedure. You can make your tools yourself, the same kind of tool, not the same tool, kind of tool. It's वैसा ही दिखेगा देखने में. आपको उसकी reliability, validity test करनी पड़ेगी. You can't just go ahead and use it just like that. So it's about scientific. Next we have is systematic. Now research is basically a process. Let me make it very clear. There are 7 steps to this. You do not skip the steps. You do not, change the order. You cannot, do as you feel like. They must be followed in that order itself. One more thing is, the steps might be overlaid. They might be,
Sorry to interrupt, but I believe the presentation is not coming on the screen.
Okay, let me just see. Must have something happened. I did. Okay, I'm gonna start sharing again. Window. Can you see now? Can you see now?
No, it's not coming. Yeah, now it is coming.
Okay. Now I was sharing even earlier. Maybe it was sharing some other screen, perhaps. उससे कोई और screen उठा ली थी. Okay, this was the first screen that I was talking about. This is the first slide. This is the second slide. We're on the second slide right now. So the first is a systematic. The first term in this definition, this is a layman's definition I use for explanation. So scientific and systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. Scientific word I've explained. Next we come to is a systematic. Okay, research basically has a process. It has 7 steps. You do not skip the steps. You do not do a shortcut on any on the steps. If some step is taking more time, you have to go through with it. That is one thing. The order cannot be changed. There might be some overlapping of steps. ऐसा हो सकता है पहला step खत्म हो रहा हो तो दूसरा step शुरू हो जाए. That can be possible. But what cannot happen is that the order is not to be changed. Many students, what they do is that they run off on the first step, and that is of course problem definition. Then they go to the next step, they do a shortcut work of it, and then they want to rush to the last step quickly. If you do that kind of a thing, you will do a research which will be of no value, and it will not be, you will be then searching for answers. कुछ तो ऐसे होते हैं डाटा कलेक्ट करके ले आते हैं, उसके बाद कहते हैं अब इसको कहाँ फिट करें ये बताइए. No, that is not the way to do the work. You have to do the groundwork. It's like building a 7-story building, right from the 7-story. I would say 7-story building with the foundation intact. So first you do the digging, make the foundation, and then you build the 7 stories above it, one after the other. You can't build the 4th floor without having the 1st floor. Let me make it very clear. That is the things about systematic. Next we have is pertinent information. Pertinent means relevant information. There will be a lot of information available related to your topic, but you must be able to discern what is actually useful information. Like for example, to the relevant to the topic, like area of study, industry, issue under study, what you are studying, you have to. Who is? Okay. Is the screen visible still?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Right. It's, in between when I have to go out of the class and then give an entry to somebody, that's when the problem arises. I don't know why you are unable to enter yourself, because I've given you the permission to enter without my clicking it. You can enter without it. Abhi video mein aaj bahut kuch conversation record ho gaya. Anyway, whatever. To the topic, area of study, industry, issue under study, you must specify the information that you're collecting. Like for example, I gave you an example just now of bathing soaps. So what industry this is? This is actually personal care industry, right? We're talking about personal care. In that too, a very small product, that is a bathing soaps. So area of study was our consumer preferences. It came under consumer behavior, right? The issue under study is to find out the consumer preferences for bathing soaps and underlying reasons why they prefer a particular product. So that is basically, we have 2 things. One is the product design, and product and the product is the first because there might be other products, other things also. Underlying issues can also be price as well. It will also be distribution. So 4 P's becomes the area that we'll be studying on one side. 4 P's on the other side, consumer behavior. On the third side, the industry is your personal care. उसमें बड़ा specific है bathing soaps हैं. So this is what means pertinent information. You should be able to identify the information that you need, not collect all kind of information which is not useful. I'll give you some examples. Specific topic, there was one more word here. There is a word scientific, then systematic, then pertinent information, then there's word specific topic. Specific topic means your topic is different from area of study. Okay, many students, when they design their projects, what they do is they say topic का नाम रख दिया human resource management, topic का नाम रख दिया training and development. That is not a topic, that is an area. वो पूरा एक area है, subject है पूरा एक. That is not a topic. A topic is something which tells what you're doing. So it is normally 8 to 10 words. It specifies what, where, when, and why. I'm giving you some examples. These are my students who did their projects, and you can see what. Let's say first Nikita's topic was, this was in 2017. They were the first students who sincerely did their projects. आजकल के students तो sincerely करते नहीं हैं, अपने आप से project उठा लाते हैं और teacher से expect करते हैं कि उसे बस आप हाँ कर दो किसी तरह. But this was a batch that did the projects that I assigned them. And that's why I have their topics here, and their projects are some of the very best ones. They're really very good, and they're all well placed as well. So we have Nikita. She had her work on consumer ethnocentrism and consumption. Of course, she wanted to work on consumer ethnocentrism, but then we formulated the topic and we constructed the topic, and she wanted to do an India-wide study, which was a very ambitious thing, but she still managed it because we got the email IDs and everything, and she had a very big sample also. So consumer ethnocentrism means people who are patriotic and they want to buy products based which are being manufactured in their own country. So we were doing study on whether ethnocentrism, consumer ethnocentrism had anything to do with the consumption level of cosmetics in India. तो हम ये जानना चाह रहे थे बेसिकली कि क्या लोगों की पैट्रियोटिक फीलिंग जो है कि मेरा देश, मेरा भारत, मेड इन इंडिया, क्या ये सब चीजें जो हैं इंपॉर्टेंट होती हैं जब कॉस्मेटिक्स परचेज करने की नौबत आती है तो. And this was a study where there were 2 questionnaires. One questionnaire was on consumption कि क्या खरीद रहे हैं वो, और दूसरा था कि उनकी इथनोसेंट्रिज्म कैसी है. तो हालांकि वो बड़े पैट्रियोटिक निकले और सबके सब बोलते रहे, गाते रहे कि नहीं हमें अपने भारत के बना हुआ प्रोडक्ट ही खरीदना चाहिए, परंतु कंजम्पशन कुछ और बता रहा था. कंजम्पशन बता रहा था कि उन्हें फॉरेन ब्रांड्स बहुत पसंद थे कॉस्मेटिक्स में. So it was a mismatch between both the works, and we came to the conclusion that they have some patriotic feelings, but it might be for some other products. Okay, but when it came to their skin and they came to having good quality products, they were more attuned to branded products. So this was about, we did a study on consumer ethnocentrism, and as you can see, it specifies what, क्या study कर रहे हैं हम, consumer ethnocentrism, कहाँ study कर रहे हैं, India में study कर रहे हैं, when. Now we didn't have a specification of timing because this was already understood that this work was to be done during the summer training work, dissertation work of 3 months. And why we were doing it? Because we wanted to see whether consumption and consumer ethnocentrism were matched or not. Next we have is next topic, the effect of work-life balance and happiness quotient of male and female employees in education institutions in Meerut. Now this was more specific because we have not specified in any of these because these were part of a dissertation project. When is specified? When you are doing, let's say, stock market analysis. तो अगर stock market analysis है तब हम बोलेंगे last 5 years analysis, क्योंकि financial analysis less than 5 years of no value. 5, 10, 15 इतने साल की फाइनेंशियल एनालिसिस करनी होती है. सो दैट्स व्हाई वहां पे टाइम का पीरियड आएगा. या फिर अगर मान लो आप ऐसे कोई प्रोडक्ट हो जो कि जाड़ों में ही बिकता है, जैसे वूलन क्लोथ्स हैं, या फिर कोल्ड क्रीम हो गया, या फिर आप क्या कहते हैं कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स हैं, वो तो गर्मियों में ही बिकती हैं, आइसक्रीम गर्मियों में बिकती हैं. तो ये जो है इफ इट्स रिलेटेड टू सम वेदर चेंजेस और सम साइक्लिकल issues, weather cycles or time cycles, then we will take care of when. Otherwise, what, where and why तो होता ही है. तो what क्या था, work-life balance and happiness quotient, and where it was being done, education institutions in Meerut, and why? Because we wanted to know of male and female employees. What was the happiness quotient of male and female employees? So as you can see, all these topics are given here. These are topics, right? They are not areas. So if you write, my area is consumer behavior, I want to do, that is not a topic, that's a subject. You want to do work on, let's say, marketing of services. That is not a topic, okay? That is an area of study. A topic has what you're studying, where you're studying, and why you're doing it. So all of this, these topics are there. I've left for you to understand what a topic should look like. And it must start with something like to study, the effect, to understand, and understand what I don't really like. I think I prefer the word study more. Yeah, that is how it must start. It must start from some kind of a word like this, like a statement. So this is about a definition. There are some more definitions given by C.R. Kothari के किताब में छपी हुई हैं. Advanced Learners Dictionary current definition है. A careful investigation, inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. किसी branch. Okay, one more thing, let me make it clear. Research methodology is a generic subject. It is not a specific subject. So if you think it is only related to management, no. It's the same subject, same content for the PhD scholars, same content for people in medical science, in engineering, in arts, in finance, in astrophysics, in chemistry, biology. Take any field that you know. Previously there used to be no course work of this. आजकल PhD scholars को चाहे वो किसी भी फील्ड के हों उन्हें कोर्स वर्क करना पड़ता है PhD कोर्स के ऊपर, because they do not receive training on this subject during their PG level. आप लोगों को मिल रहा है. अब आप पूछोगे हमें क्यों इससे हमें क्यों दुख दर्द हमारा बढ़ाया जा रहा है? Why are we being punished through this subject? Well, actually, you know, management has a lot to do with research work. There's a lot of information that is collected all the time. You need to understand how to organize that information and to give a meaningful output to the management. You will be, if you are experienced, you will be put into writing a lot of projects. You'll be asked to, you know, write in reports. You'll be asked to give your comments. You'll be asked to collect information and, you know, prepare project profiles, maybe for future launch of products. A lot of things you might be asked to do. And in that course of time, if you do not know how to do the work, you do not know the procedure of actually conducting research, sometimes you might have very less time. You might have to curtail at some things. You might have to use your mind to create smaller projects or smaller databases. And sometimes you might be required to have 6 months or 1 year to do your work. Management के अंदर वैसे time बहुत कम मिलता है projects create करने के लिए, क्योंकि वहाँ पे situations बहुत जल्दी बदलती हैं. So you might be given less time. You might not get that much of time. So how do you go around it? Let me tell you. If you're doing a PhD, you have ample amount of time of doing the stage 1 and stage 2 of research, that is the literature review. But industry, you don't. So my suggestion is, even after you have done your MBA, please do pick certain magazines and certain newspapers and do read them regularly. I mean, don't stop reading, because if you stop reading, you will become obsolete, and nobody needs an obsolete thing. आजकल की दुनिया में कोई obsolete चीज नहीं उठाता है. तो सब्जेक्ट्स को पढ़ लेने के बाद भी कुछ न्यूज़पेपर्स हैं जैसे कि इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स हो गया. इफ यू आर अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ फाइनेंस एंड यू वांट टू एक्सेल इन फाइनेंस, फाइनेंशियल टाइम्स इज योर पेपर, न्यूज़पेपर. And apart from that, in magazines, Business Today, Business World, these are some of the magazines. Apart from that, there are others also. Let's say you go into retail business, आप retail में चले जाते हो, या आप Walmart ज्वाइन कर लेते हो, या आप ज्वाइन कर लेते हो कोई और रिटेलिंग, ऑनलाइन रिटेलिंग की, तो उनकी रिटेलिंग की मैगजीन्स अलग आती हैं. और एडवर्टाइजिंग का फील्ड ज्वाइन करोगे तो A&M की पहले मैगजीन आया करती थी, पर अब शायद और कोई मैगजीन आने लगी है. सो those magazines can be had, and you can actually read those magazines regularly. Even after doing your MBA, do not stop reading, because if you stop reading, आपकी information, जो knowledge आपने MBA program के दौरान ली है, वो obsolete हो जाएगी, और पुरानी चीज़ों को कोई पसंद नहीं करता है. चाहे वो पुरानी knowledge हो, चाहे वो पुराने लोग हों, चाहे वो पुराना कोई equipment हो. जैसे मोबाइल हो गया पुराना या लैपटॉप पुराना हो गया, तो वो लोग पुरानी चीज़ों को पसंद नहीं करते हैं. इसलिए मेरा आपको सजेशन है दैट, क्योंकि आई एम अ PhD in management. I study latest because I have to teach and I have to guide my PhD scholars. If I don't keep up to date, then I cannot guide them. Sometimes I have to be ahead of them also. I have to read more than they have to. But in your case, the thing is that what will you do? Because you will be practicing MBAs. You're not going to be doing PhDs and going into teaching line. So practicing MBAs need to keep on reading latest information, क्योंकि कल को मान लो आपको कोई प्रोजेक्ट बनाने को दे दिया जाता है और आप तो कोई न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ते नहीं है, ना आप कोई मैगजीन पढ़ते हैं, तो क्या होगा कि जब आपको प्रोजेक्ट बनाने को दिया जाएगा और आपसे कहा जाएगा इस पे प्रोजेक्ट पे वर्क करो, तो आपको पता ही नहीं होगा उस एरिया के बारे में, क्योंकि आपने तो MBA के बाद कोई किताब या कोई मैगजीन कुछ उठा के पढ़ी ही नहीं, ना आपने कोई न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ा, तो आपको लेटेस्ट पता ही नहीं होगा. जब लेटेस्ट नहीं पता होगा तो आप उसके अंदर एडिशन नॉलेज का कहाँ से करेंगे, किस तरह का सजेशन आप दे पाएंगे. तो हो सकता है कि आप ऐसे मौके पर प्रमोशन के चांसेस खो दें, आप क्या कहते हैं एक नए लुक्रेटिव असाइनमेंट का ऑप्शन खो दें, आपको कंसिडर ही नहीं किया जाएगा. फिर nobody will consider you for a new promotion, nobody will consider you for a new position or a new project, then you will be at loss. So practicing MBAs को प्रैक्टिसिंग मतलब कि जो कि प्रोफेशन में जाते हैं, जॉब में जाते हैं, इंडस्ट्री में जाते हैं या कहीं भी जाते हैं, उन लोगों को अपने फील्ड की जो मैगजीन्स हैं वो MBA के बाद भी वो पढ़ते रहें, ये उनके लिए अच्छा रहेगा. It will be really good for them. They will be up to date. So that is all. So that was what I was telling. So let's come back here. So advanced learners dictionary, he says, current English, careful investigation and inquiry, especially to search for new facts. So वही नई facts की बात कर रहे हैं. नए facts कैसे search होंगे? In case of management field, new facts in industry, how you search? There's only one way. You should be reading carefully. You should be continuously reading. If you're not reading, then you cannot suggest any new facts. You can't search any new facts. You don't have
Actually, Padma, I can't see the third slide. It's still showing me the definition continuation.
Okay, I don't know why that is a problem, because I am sharing the slide. Okay, I'm just stopping the recording now.